The Legend of Ranger Joe is the 6th episode of the 5th season of Full House. This is directed by Joel Zwick, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. It's a really brilliant episode. We have two parts to the narrative. One's a small subplot, actually two small subplots, and then the main narrative focusing on Joey. The episode starts off with Stephanie giving Michelle her old tap shoes, and Michelle is tapping T for two throughout the entire episode. That's an exaggeration, but she does do it quite a lot, and honestly, I love the performance. High energy, absolutely delightful. But yeah, if I were Stephanie, it would drive me crazy too. And we'll come back to that a little bit later. The other small subplot involves Jesse's name, because he's talking to DJ about naming the babies. Elvis and Priscilla are at the top of his list, and he says, I don't want my kids to go through what and then he doesn't say anything else. What possibly could he mean? Well, DJ is determined to find out, and again, we'll come back to that in a little bit. I think the pacing of the reveal of that was very well done, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Joey is having a brilliant day. Initially, he was feeling down on his luck. He felt like he couldn't catch a break, completely know what he feels like. And then he finds out that the paper is cancelled for the day. There's a paper strike, so there's not going to be a bad review from his performance the previous night. And then he answers a phone call question about Deputy Dog and wins Donnie and Marie tickets, but then he realises the cable person's coming, so he doesn't know if he can collect the tickets, and at that moment the cable guy arrives, and it's actually a cable woman, and she's rather attractive. She's played by Colleen Morris, and she hooks up cable, gives him some extras, and then it was a little bit ridiculous, to be honest, when Joey said to her, I'm having a great day, and she said, I'm not, I wanted Donnie and Marie tickets, but they were sold out. It was a little bit ridiculous, but Joey realises he could take her on a date, and he gets her phone number. It just went from strength to strength to strength for Joey's day. And then we're watching Wake Up San Francisco, and a character called Ranger Roy is on there. He's played by Barney Martin, and he's a children's entertainer who plays the character of a ranger. And he announces on the show that he's retiring and is looking for somebody to replace him. And Danny says on television that his best friend Joey would be perfect for the role. Joey's face when we cut back to the front room was just absolutely fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. So Joey gets ready to go down, and we have Mr. Woodchuck. I will be honest, I don't find Mr. Woodchuck funny. I know it's humour aimed at children, but I've seen the show before, of course, and I never really found the character that funny, but certainly the performance is just amazing. And Joey goes down, he does a performance, then he does a bunch of cartoon impressions, which I always love. I love when Dave Coulier is just naturally very, very funny, and I love when he does cartoon impressions, and he gets the job. And then in his moment of glee, he hugs Ranger Roy, not aware that Ranger Roy has acute physical paranoia. Joey runs out of the room excited, and Ranger Roy tells Danny that Joey is fired. Bit harsh to fire somebody you've just named as your replacement because they hugged you and they didn't know you had acute physical paranoia. So I lost a considerable amount of respect for Ranger Roy at that point, but we'll come back to that in a moment. DJ has found out Jesse's real name, and it's Hermes, and apparently he got teased at school a lot about the name, so that's why he was called Jesse. He changed his name, and DJ found this out because she'd phoned her grandmother, who apparently was very happy to share this information. And Jesse then comes into the room where Stephanie, Becky, DJ, and then Michelle are, because Comet has dug up the tap shoes that Stephanie has hidden. Great performance from Jodie Sweetin here as well, when she was going to lose her mind, which I loved. And Michelle turns to Jessie to thank her for finding her tap shoes, as Comet had dug them up and Jessie had, I guess, helped dig them up. And Michelle says to him, "Thank you for finding my shoes, Uncle Hermes." And of course it takes a second for it to register. And I just thought that was such a fun way to reveal to Jesse that they knew his former name. DJ and Becky are struggling to contain their laughter. And honestly, it's a perfectly fine name. I've never met anybody with the name Hermes, but Jesse gave this speech about how it was a relative's name and it's a strong name, and Michelle is still not allowed to call him Uncle Hermes. They didn't make a huge big deal out of it. It was a nice scene. I quite liked it. And then we end with Joey. And unfortunately, his luck starts to run out. His fourth cousin is a janitor at the radio station, so he can't have the tickets. Linda comes over to go on the date, and the cable is also out, and of course he doesn't have the tickets, so that's the end of that. And then Danny tells him that Ranger Roy has fired him. And nevertheless, Joey still gets a chance to perform. He goes down to the studio because, well, he sent a bear to give Ranger Roy a hug before he realised that that was a bad idea. And he gets a chance to perform nevertheless, and he ends up getting that job back. And he is now Ranger Joe. And it's a wonderful, wonderful moment for Joey. It's an absolutely fantastic opportunity for the character. Joey just seems so happy, so over the moon with this. And it's an absolute joy to watch. I think this is a really brilliant episode. The legend of Ranger Joe is great fun, a little bit ridiculous at times, but honestly, I thought it was pretty fabulous. Ultimately, a really enjoyable episode of Full House.